Alexander Thompson thinks there's going to be rants today. Anyway, hello Malcolm. Hello Wolfbet. Morning Gingers. Hi Dylan. Let's get Facebook going.
We're champing at the bit to get at it. So come on guys, get in your seats.
Right, and that's Facebook sorted out, so we should start getting Facebook comments going through any minute now. Here we go. Dylan, Alexander, Margaret, Willie's Bucket, Stephen, Fraser, Andy, Scott, Brian, Rebecca, and Lorraine. So far we'll get 34 on YouTube. I haven't got any coming through on Facebook yet. Aki's Madsen, Art Office, Last Braveheart, Eddie Wolfie, Brian Cunningham, Evelyn, Robert Nats, our Democracy Deniers. Hi guys, the Martin Boyd's in. Hey Martin. And Alexander Cares in. Hi Alexander Care. Alistair Care, sorry. I'll get your groceries updated. Hi Jane, at Facebook coming through now. We'll get Mags, Jane, Ilona. So figures are climbing nicely, David. We'll get to 100 and then we'll get a show underway.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Not an awful lot. Unfortunately, we're dealing with someone who's very, very sick within the family across in Canada. So I won't say any more because it's deeply personal, but that's been taking up all our time and all our thoughts. So, but other than that, reading books and playing my keyboard.
Hi, Dean. Stollers, Maggie, Stephen, Rosie, Akis. This is where I get confused when it comes to the conversation because there'll be two chats going. We'll get the YouTubers chatting to each other, and we'll get the Facebook crowd chatting to each other, and I get to see it all. Hi Ian, nice to see you there, mate. Big head. He shouts at every March. Let's hear it for Andy Truck Davey. So he does. We're nearly there. I've just been getting new bits and bobs for my strimmer.
Yeah, so I heard. You didn't ring my ear when I was on the phone.
Chris, I don't know if you're talking about the Two Davies chat being removed on YouTube. I'm seeing the chat they bother on YouTube. It's coming through. And he got Gordon on YouTube there says hi for Sonny Simo. So it is coming through. Hi Tina up there in Dundee.
Right.
Stephen's asking if I can say hello to his friends over on Facebook. Oh, Stephen's friends on Facebook.
Stephen's friends on Facebook.
Yeah. Right, we're there. Let's get this underway. The Two Davies on the 14th of the 8th, 2023. And number one up on the chat for today is Angus quits the party. Angus McNeil quits the SNP. Did it take you by surprise, David?
Yeah, it did a bit. I'll be honest with you, it's left a wee bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
Me too, because he said he was going to hang on and see what the vote was at conference. He was going to hang on and see how it went in the regional assemblies. It was a period he decided not to wait, and he's just jumped. And now he's saying he's going to sit as an independent. You know.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if Angus will get re-elected in his own area. It depends on how the people think of him personally as an MP.
But once again, this is something we'll get coming later. But he's going to put the independence movement at a disadvantage in his area.
Yeah.
Because you'll have an SNP and you'll have him and Labour will sneak through the middle.
Yeah.
But we'll get a wee bit more of that further in the programme.
Definitely.
You know, but I was a bit disappointed in Angus.
Yeah.
You know, you always take him at his word. His word was he was going to sit it out until he seen what came out at conference.
Yeah.
You know, know what's happened. He's decided he's going to walk. He's decided, he's been kicked too. Now, there are reasons behind this, folks, which I've had to look into. And the stooshies really started with the fact that Angus wasn't showing up for voting in Westminster, even though he was there. Apparently, he was too busy swanning about with pals. One Tory, one a spin doctor. Don't need to really get into details. It's no hard to get this information found out. But when Angus apparently should have been the Parliament voting, he didn't. And when Brendan, the chief whip, wanted to follow him up about it and ask for a meeting about it, Angus didn't turn up to the meeting.
Yeah, I think
so it ended up being an argument in the corridor, apparently.
Yeah, but I think the top and bottom of it is Angus has been a bit ostracised by the rest of his MPs.
No, as I say, he was asked to rejoin the group, David. If that's him being ostracised, it sounds strange to me. And say I'm a little disappointed in Angus.
Yeah.
I've taken him as I've watched him down through the years, and I've always taken him at his word.
Yeah.
And when he said he was going to hang on and see what he was saying at the conference, but when you get to the gist there, I mean, you and I both agree with Angus's idea of a Scottish plebiscite election.
That's right.
But at the same time, we're Democrats.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the party decides. I mean, there will be a few options put in front of the party at the conference.
But let's give Angus his due. It was him that brought the whole idea of a plebiscite to the table. He was shouted down at the SNP conference over it. Don't know why, but he was shouted down over it. And then all of a sudden, when the Supreme Court go, no, you know, then that's it. Plebiscite is the only way to go. And now everybody, including the First Minister, Humza Yousaf, is now saying plebiscite, plebiscite, plebiscite.
Clinton, we're no SNP cult members. If there's any cults here in Scotland, it'll be the cult of Mr. Salmon. But we'll get a bit more of that later in the programme.
Do us a favour, can you blooming give him the order of the book?
No, I won't. I'll let him argue
No, hang on. I'm not being called a cult member. If we weren't cult members, you start looking at other parties for that, right? Seriously.
Cult members, the amount of times David and I have stood up to the party, you've got no idea, Clinton.
Yeah.
You see a couple of geezers sitting on the TV, on your screen here, and you make assumptions. I've had more Barneys with the SNP than Angus, Brendan McNeill, or Fraser Ewan. Fergus Ewan, sorry. Now, Angus has been in position for 18 years. I wouldn't say he's get comfortable doing there because I don't really know. And the fact that he's made cross-party friends over an 18-year period is no biggie. But if they cross-party friends are stopping you from doing your job and drawing you away when you should be voting, then you want to look at and I'm not saying that's what's happening, but if that is what's happening, then maybe Angus might want to have a look at it. Cult members. Too much mainstream media in these people sheets, you know that? They've got mainstream media blowing smoke up their arses. The cult of Miss Sturgeon was the last one.
David, we've actually got a cult here. If you look, you've got blooming a few of them going, Defo cult, James Lindsay, all the rest of it. There's a few cult members come on board. Right? So there you go.
Right, anyway, let's move on to. So Angus is quite a party. It could well be a problem come the election. All right, but we'll get to potential problems when it gets to elections. We'll get towards the end of the show. Right, Steve Bank here signals they're coming for Scotland's NHS under the guise of a better management from Westminster. This is going to be a comedy headline of the fucking week.
It's not comedy because, in actual fact, by bringing in health insurance in England, they could actually bring forward the demise of the Scottish NHS. We've both discussed this lots of times in the past. It's a straightforward thing. It really is. That then would cause the Barnett consequentials created by payments to the NHS in England to disappear.
At this point in time, we're only still getting ballot consequences because they're still giving the money to follow the patient. So it's still going into healthcare at this point in time. When that's replaced with an insurance-based system, then there isn't any consequentials and we will be forced down the same road. But that's the same signal on the start of it, David. That's been letting them know, and they're trying to put it into the heads of the Scottish people that they would manage your NHS better. They're a warning sign for us all. They've got the worst performing NHS on the mainland, and they're talking about coming up here to sort out SNP waiting lists. Last time I looked, politicians didn't do fucking surgery.
The most important
thing... they do surgeries, but they're not cutting people open.
David, the most important thing here is, if you look at everything that's happening at the moment, there's Bankier coming up to sort out the Scottish NHS. Where's Rishi Sunak been? He's been at his big house in California for a couple of weeks, no doubt.
Well, he gets his deputy to announce the privatisation of NHS England.
Yep, and he's had a few friends from American health insurance companies over to his house at that time. Were they discussing the weather? Were they discussing golf? No. They were discussing how much the NHS is going to bring them in profit. Simple as that.
Right. Dylan's asking, is there any way to stop the Tories from privatising the NHS? Aye, with the bloody union.
Yes.
That is the only way to stop it. The internal market bill was designed to level the market within the UK. That means university tuition fees are coming unless they abolish them down that road. Prescription charges will be back unless we scrap them down that road. Bridge tolls, road tolls will come back into effect unless they do down that road. So we're looking at bus passes for kids disappearing. Pensioners not getting their bus pass to 66. Because when they talk about levelling up down that road, they're actually talking about levelling down across.
Yeah, the SNP have brought you over 200 things, 200 items to help the people of Scotland. And it's all going. It would just be clear.
If Clinton's not been paying attention to what the First Minister's been saying, he's saying he's treating the next election as a vote on independence, Quentin. So what are you talking about the SNP no God for independence? What you want them to do, Quentin? I'll tell you what, seeing you're the rocket scientist with a great idea, stick it in the comments and we'll put them up.
Sorry.
Okay, tell us what it is you want the SNP to do. Tell us, Quentin, because remember, while you're telling us, there's going to be a plebiscite. And that's the last of the time I'm donating to you, Quentin, unless you come up with some viable plan that can be put in front of the Scottish people. Right, now let's move on to trouble in Western Isles.
Yes, aye.
Fergus Ewan wants an end to the deal with the Greens. We've got Kate Forbes wants to have a vote on whether we continue the deal with the Greens.
Yeah.
And we've got one of the bigger hitters coming up against them all. Come up against the two of them and giving it, no, the deal stays till 2026. There's a good reason for that deal, David. Apart from the fact that cross-party consensus is always a good thing. It always makes for better lawmaking, better decision-making. But the good reason for it is because it would be a minority government. And that minority government would struggle to get its budgets and its policies through.
That's right.
Struggle to enact them.
You've got to take into account.
Quentin, away don't talk piss about what about your constitution. Your head's up your bahookie. Your constitution. This is a democracy. This is the 21st century. Jesus Christ. What about our constitution? We've already explained this to you. In 1998, something called the Scotland Act was drawn up. And in the Scotland Act, they make it quite clear that the Constitution is reserved to Westminster. That's what it says when it says the Constitution is reserved. See, this bollocks, this smoke that's been blown up people's arses about constitutions in 1869 when we're in the 21st fucking century. Wow.
Right, can we get back to the topic in hand, the Western Isles? If you look at the Greens over the past wee while, they've set the bar a wee bit too high for themselves, right? They've tried to bring in things that are not popular, right? I'm not saying they should be entirely populist, but at the same time, everything they've brought in has been difficult, really, really difficult to pass as a government, yeah? So if the SNP had like an 80% majority of seats in Parliament, they would still have difficulty, I believe, bringing in some of the things that the Greens brought forth. Simple as that. It's not an easy ride. So therefore, I understand why maybe some of the SNP MSPs want to see an end to that deal. But Angus Robertson has done the right thing. He said, no, they're staying. Simple as that.
Yep, the Greens want to go hard on climate change. That's for sure. And I had seen somebody put up the idea that the GRR was the Greens' idea, and no, it wasn't. Actually, it was a cross-party thing right across the Parliament. But we'll leave it at that. But the Greens are pro-independence, and they're recognised as a pro-independence party. They actually have representation in the Parliament. It makes sense to give us a pro-independence majority in our Parliament for the Greens and the SNP to work together. You know, even if they're going to thrash out some difficult points on policy, well, as we've already spoke about it, the reason why most countries have proportional representation is because you get better representation of the will of the people right across a party divides. So it brings parties together. You get consensus, you get better lawmaking. Simple as that.
D-Doc says the Greens have stuffed it for the SNP. I won't say the word they use.
Everybody keeps saying that, but no, what we're getting is a narrative in the mainstream media, especially and it's all unionist media, who are going hammer and tong at anything they can try and put a wee lever in and make it split. You know, with Mark Harper, the oldest serving member of the Scottish Greens and first Scottish Green MP, quit last week. He said that the Greens and the SNP administration is chaotic. Is it? Wow. As far as I can see, the policies that they've actually brought through that are of any real substance have been good for the Scottish people, i.e. free school meals, free travel for the 12 to 22-year-olds, the £25 a week uplift for the poorest families per child. That's all been done while in coalition with the Greens. So as far as I can see, there's nothing actually physically broken with the arrangement that they have with the Greens. Yep, the deposit return scheme for Lorna Slater went tits up, but that was Alistair Jack. He deliberately cost us 86 million in public purse when he put the boot into the deposit return scheme. And of course, we're also seeing the nonsense in the papers today about 140 hosts on the census here in Scotland. Actually, that wasn't the Scottish Government's fault either. Unionists were refusing to fill it out because it didn't come out at the same time as the UK-wide census. That's what that was about. That was about 66,000 people went, no. We're not filling the census out because it's not the same time as the UK one. So that ended up costing the public purse and all because the time it took to actually gather the census was extended. And that meant extending other people who worked to gather that information. You know? But anyway, so
what about the isn't there a £300 million court case being brought forward by Coca-Cola Schweppes over the DRS, over the demise of the DRS?
No, I don't see this one really affecting Coca-Cola Schweppes. They don't use glass bottles, but we might well see something coming.
They do. Coca-Cola Schweppes do use glass bottles.
But you don't see many of them about. So we do have trouble coming to the Western Isles. We've got Kate Forbes for some reason demanding that the members should have a vote on this deal. Even though I don't see a problem with having a vote on it, but what difference is it going to make?
Austin, for goodness sake, man, thank you for the comment, but for us to read that through right the way through while we're doing a program, try and, if you can, guys, keep your comments snappy if you can. All right, I'm not decrying. I'll read it later on, but
we'll get it later. You're right about the attacks on devolution, and it was definitely about the biggest failure of the mock so far. But so there is trouble in the Western Isles, or up in the Highlands, the West Highlands. Fergus is not happy. Fergus Ewan. Kate Forbes is wanting a vote for some reason. Angus is thrown his dummy out the pram and walked. Or sorry, has been booted because he wouldn't play. So we're not great.
So what do you think that? How does that bode for the general election then?
Well, what Fergus is rattling on about and what Kate's rattling on about is not going to have an effect on it. But Angus could have an effect on it. As I say, Labour could sneak through the middle because of Angus on it against the SNP. But we'll just have to see how that pans out. What we do generally know is that when you do what Angus has just done, like, or if you walk away to another party, then generally the electorate punish you. You generally lose your seat. And we'll see that with the two Alpha Party MPs at the next election, and we'll see that and we did see it with Chris McElhenney, and we also seen it with Pat Lee when he jumped to Solidarity. You know, people tend to think that it's them that are popular when actually it's the party that's popular. You know. But as I say, right, let's move on. Another Starmer U-turn. Sir Queen, he's got another nickname now. It's Sir Queen Airhammer and Kid Starmer. Apparently he's decided that US won't be extended throughout the UK and that Queen Air's no more. Wow.
So let's see if I get this right. He's brought in over 100 new licenses for the extraction of oil and gas in the North Sea.
No, that's Sunak. But Starmer,
he's not what I'm saying. I'm Sunak I'm on about here, right? He has opened up a coal mine after COP26, COP27, right? Where an agreement was made by everybody, right? Oh, coal mines, we've got to close them down, right?
Well, the point is, Sir Keir Starmer says when he gets in, he'll stop the expansion of USs throughout the UK. He says he didn't want to hammer hard-pressed motorists at this point in time. We all know that we have got to the end of this decade to try and sort this crap out. And here we have Starmer walked away for the 28 billion for renewables each year, scrapped that, another one of his pledges out the window. Now he's talking about no one to hit motorists. How do we sort out the problem with dirty air then? You know, and how do we sort out climate change if we don't cut back on fossil fuel burning? You know,
Personally, I look at the whole climate change action thing and just think it's stuffed. It's simply stuffed because the politicians are not going to put any political will behind any of the things that need to be done. Simple as that. And especially when you've got Rishi Sunak run up the road to give out 100 or sell 100 licenses for the extraction of more oil and gas at a time when the world needs to be starting to turn away from oil and gas. It's just crackers. It's not a word for it. It's crackers.
Dog, nobody says Angus committed a crime. We just said he's throwing his toys out the pram because he didn't get his way of getting to his independence. He wasn't showing up in Parliament to do his job. And that's a fact. You can look at his voting record. He wasn't showing up in Parliament to do his job. The other thing that Angus is upset about is that they're no crashing the Scottish Parliament and bringing about a Scottish parliamentary election. Then you think about the other two from the Western Islands. The Highlands, Kate and Fergus. They're basically looking to crash in the SNP and all by walking away from this deal. What's going on up there? People lost their plot.
Just seen it.
But anyway, so another pledge, another U-turn for Starmer and dirty air for people to breathe going forward. So the UK has totally failed when it comes to its climate commitments, and it seems to have turned its back on them. As you pointed out, Sunak coal mine, 100 new licenses for the North Sea, so much for it running out of.
Yeah.
Of course...
We actually discussed this before the programme, right? David came up with a cracking solution for those people in London, right? What you do is everybody that has a car inside the M25 motorway that runs right the way around London,
Everybody in the US area
should pay £2.50 a day if they've got a car, right? And obviously certain exceptions, people that don't work, maybe they've got a lower rate or whatever. And that's it. Whereas instead of that, they've actually got this one where, what are they paying? Is it £12.50 a day or 25?
a day, and it's only going to hit the poorest people with the oldest vehicles.
Yeah. And
David, even if it was only £1 a day, there's that many people in London within that 25. There was £1 a day to drive across London. You know, that would level it up and make it fair on everybody.
And just like the congestion charge, I can assure you, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think I can assure you that if you don't pay the fine on such and such a date, it doubles.
It would appear like Quentin's quite thick. He says that Holmes has no gone for independence. He's stated his case. He's made it public.
David.
He's going to put it to a vote at a conference.
David.
You know, that's called democracy, Quentin. It's not called, wait a minute, I'm not finished. It's not called a 300-year-old constitution. It's called democracy. Wow.
David.
There are some really silly people.
David, you've got the button. Can you just get rid of Quentin? He's only here to rail you, work you out, you know, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I enjoy your rant, especially when it's extremely stupid. We asked him for a modern solution to the problem that he says is not getting fixed, and he came up with a 300-year-old solution that doesn't get any. David Monopoly democracy.
No interest in your answer.
You know,
simple as that.
Right, let's move on. And listen, leave him away. Bibby Stockholm. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well,
you want to give the timeline, David?
Yeah, on Monday, the government, or let's say the people that were involved in doing the health and safety checks and all the rest, they became aware that Legionnaires disease was present in the water supply that the boat held, or the actual tanks, right? On the Tuesday, a cabinet member didn't say what cabinet member was involved, but a cabinet member of the UK government was told by that authority that Legionnaires was in the water supply. And then it took until Friday before people started walking off the boat. That to me, that's beyond ridiculous. You know, you something like Legionnaires disease is discovered using the water supply, water that everybody has to drink every day. You get them off.
I need to get T-Dog to explain this one to me. He said, let's see the manifesto, Davey. What manifesto? There's no manifesto been written, and there won't be one until after the conference, T-Dog. There's some really thick people on the stream today. Want to see a manifesto that's not been written yet? Well done. Right, David, can you wake up now? Wow.
Stop responding. Let our viewers respond to them. Something like that. That's what you said to me in the past. All right?
Aye.
All right.
It's silly season, but David, so I can't be silly at all.
I know. All right.
And you get all these people making criticisms, and you ask them for solutions, and they come away with pish like the Constitution. When we live in the 21st century democracy. Anyway, let's move on. So maybe Stockholm, they knew on Monday when they started loading the passengers on that there was Legionnaires in the water.
On Tuesday, the cabinet member was told at a meeting.
So the test was Monday, so they had the results Monday evening. Cabinet member, Tuesday.
Right, and then it was Friday before they actually came off the boat.
And I'm listening to reports from down that road, and apparently the people on the barge were only finding out for charities who knew through the mainstream media, who were phoning them up and asking how they were.
Yeah.
They hadn't been told to stop using the water on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that meant for Tuesday till they were after the barge, they were still using the water. You expect, fortunately, there was only 47 people on it.
Yeah, but all 47 of those people could be infected with Legionella. Something like that. And it's a killer.
It is a killer, aye.
You know, so.
It tells you a bit about the attitude of the Home Office towards these people. And that's going to bring us on to you know, the deaths in the channel this week, 6 people passed away. Apparently, the boats were only 4 miles off Cali, yet the rescues brought them here.
I can't understand the mindset of the people down there, right?
Well, we're about to shock the people of Scotland and most of the people of England when we play this. So I'll put it up with you, David.
Please, thank you.
Hey. Wait you hear this, folks. This one's a mind bender. I mean, a mind bender. Here we go.
I think it's very tough. You want my opinion?
I do. That's what it's all about.
Right. I think it's very tough, and I'm sorry there will be some deaths. I truly am sorry about that, but we should not let them land.
Sorry, what did you say?
We should not let the boats land.
No, the bit before you.
I'm truly sorry that there will be some deaths, because when the boats turn back, there will be some deaths, and that's really, really a bad thing. But they will then stop coming.
Wow.
Wow. Yes. Wow.
Wow.
She isn't alone. I assure you.
That's what years of Farage getting mainstream media earth has led to.
Yes.
This is what happens when you get billionaires who don't live here running the press, setting a narrative, a right-wing narrative.
Yeah.
You know, you then get wee Mrs. McLumford for Coronation Street on saying, they're in the buggers.
Yeah, I know. It's dreadful.
You know, blow your mind.
We've gone from being, I'm talking about the UK here. We're involved with the UK. We can't help that until we become independent. As part of the UK, we've gone from being a country that actually deals with refugees properly to a country where you've got people, Mrs. McGlumfer, down the road in Dover or whatever, saying, just let them drown, push them back into the sea, but point the guns at the boats and make them turn away. That's absolutely ridiculous. When people are getting to that kind of mindset,
it tells you there's something extremely wrong with the media and the politicians, you know.
David, I've often wondered about the change of people in Germany. I'm not going to go fully right down this blooming rabbit hole, but how they suddenly changed and agreed with what the Nazi Party were doing. And it looks to me as if you've got people down in England that are supporting a fascist Tory government and actually starting to say things that are bloody horrible. You wouldn't do that, and you wouldn't do it to your worst enemy.
Right, Alistair Cares sent us a super chat. Thank you very much, Alistair. Very, very generous. 20%, 80%. It takes up to 10 days to show up in people, David. So apparently it takes 10 days for the disease to show up in people. So the people who were on the bars won't even know if they'll get ill for a while yet.
Right. Thanks for telling us that.
Thanks for that information, mate. But of course, we've got the Bibby Stockholm carry on. We've got 6 people drowned in the channel. We've got the Muppet Braverman, the cruelest, a politician who actually wants to appear mean and cruel, and actually quotes that image of being mean and cruel, given that we're going to crack down in the people smugglers. The people smugglers are in a different country. They did nothing. Nothing. Probably financed out of London right now. But you know, the people who are putting them on the boats, they're out there and we're going to crack down on. They're going to crack down on nothing. It's not in the UK's jurisdiction. It's in France. Mental. But deaths in the channel, and let's put the blame where it lies. At Westminster's door. At the Home Office's door. At Braverman's door. If they weren't being so bloody thick-headed, and instead of paying 500 million to the French to police the shores, and they're no policing the shores, they're just, he's at 500 million, thanks very much.
The You have to
Sticking two fingers up at the people in England and giving it, hey, we've got your money. It's a bit like when you go on a train down that road. It used to be up here. We're actually financing rail companies around the rest of Europe. Yeah, there's a cracking YouTube video out there with the people of France, Spain, Germany, Holland are all saying, thank you, UK, you're contributing to our cheap transport schemes. Because
in France, David, France have had 38 immigration bills in the last 12 years. Macron personally has presided over the majority of them. Yeah.
Right.
So France has its own trouble with forms of immigration, and they've been given 500 million by the UK government to stop people getting on boats. Do you think they're really that bothered? Do you think they don't just want to go, right, bye-bye, guys, be safe. Oh, here's a patch kit.
Well, of course, the answer is to process the people who are here. Now, in Germany, the average time to process an asylum application is 6 months. Here in the UK, it's ending out 3 years.
Yeah.
They're just not processing them. And as we know, there's a 200,000 plus backlog. And as we found out the other day, there are only 100,000 of them across the channel. And that was 100,000 in 5 years. As I said, 500,000 mortals, people shuffle after mortal coil in England and Wales. All right, the birth rate's pretty similar, but babies don't need houses. The 500,000 that have shuffled off all had houses, so accommodation can't be a problem.
Yeah.
So babies get him to mum and daddy. Granny, when she pops off, all her belongings, including their properties, are there. You know. But I mean, the Times headline the other day, there was a sensationalist headline that if you'd only seen the headline, you'd think 100,000 people had come across that channel this year. And we keep hearing things like we're being invaded. You know, militarised. It's been militarised. You know, a bit like Brexit's been militarised, actually. But that's more to do with Northern Ireland than anything else. But that's a story for another day. That's a single issue programme. You know.
So okay, we've got the small boat desk, we've got Bibby Stockholm absolutely up in the air, right? So what's the next thing the Tories are going to do if we can move along to the next item?
Oh, they're going to introduce a refugee asylum seekers estates. Isn't that a new fancy name for concentration camp?
Or ghettos. Yeah.
I mean, if we take Auschwitz for example, that was a section of town that was fenced off.
Do you think they would? Do you think they would have a label that's got an R on it for refugee, or M for migrant,
or A for asylum seeker?
Yeah, I don't think no, they won't have that. What about I for illegal? Yeah. So.
Oh, aye, probably aye. But I mean, you get it. You know, here. I mean, we know the Home Office has spent £3 million on marquees that they're going to erect in military facilities to hold these people. Because remember, when they get here now, they're not detained. Yep. They're not free. They're detained.
Yep.
The illegal migration bill means that when they land here, they are taken into custody. So
these are prisoners. Make no bones about it. These people that are now coming here, landed here, and the border force have got the hold of, they are prisoners.
Well, anyway, Gordon McKenzie's probably a good point there. The English can't build houses, never mind the States. When they're talking about States, they're talking about marquees and shot in and all military bases. Because they're actually being imprisoned. And when you're being imprisoned, you can put as many fluffy pillows in the jail cell as you want. It's still a bloody jail cell.
What about the tents?
Aye, you just put a force in the marquees. So we'll throw in a couple of couches into the marquees and call a couple of beds in. And call the tented city an estate, shall we?
Yeah.
You know.
It's unbelievable, it really is. You have to remember that in the winter time, it's like most parts of the UK can become very cold at times, and you're going to keep people in tents. The people in Jordan, they might be in a dreadful situation, but at least it doesn't get sub-zero, yeah, for most of the year. So anyway, that's the idea. The whole thing with the Tories, the Bibby Stockholm and everything like that, is just obtuse. It's ridiculous. What's this, Chris Wilson? After the next election, we should take matters into our own hands if we get most seats and instruct our civil service to start process for independence.
Two things. That's Hoover's plan is to a majority seats, majority MPs were walking on the civil service thing. Well, there isn't a Scottish civil service until we're independent.
That's right. Yeah.
So whether we would be able to instruct them to enter into the negotiations, I don't think so.
Well, the negotiations would be over who gets the CD collection.
I get that, David. And it would be, you keep talking about Helsinki. The Helsinki thing is the wrong one. It's the Vienna Accords.
Vienna Accords, yeah. Sorry.
The Helsinki agreement was one between Russia and Ukraine, where Ukraine was staying neutral, I think, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that. I haven't looked for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Tories are talking about concentration camps, David. You couldn't make it up, can you?
It's sinking further and further and further. If you look at the definition of a fascist, and you go around down all the different lines of control of the news, control, all the rest of it, right? They're ticking all the boxes. The UK is a fascist state. Scotland is a fascist state unless we get away from them.
Oh, well, we'll be part of a fascist state unless we get away from them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But aye, Alistair, it is time we got some moderators. Anybody wants to be a moderator on the channel, we'll work out how it's done. Inbox me. It is time we got some referees on the chat. But I'm going to need them on Facebook as well as on YouTube. But I get those, David. It's mental. Right, let's move on. Sturgeon targeted by Looney right rag.
Yeah.
You can take this one up, man.
We'll just I'll open up the thing and I'll just bring that in. There it is there. Nicola Sturgeon age. Oh, hang on. Sorry, David. There you go. Put it up. There is that. Yeah. Nicola Sturgeon age charge taxpayers for office coffee machines and plush iPad cover. This is Sturgeon is now being targeted by the loony right-wing press because now they've found that they can't get her for something legal, like missing £600,000 or whatever, right? I'm not going to read all of this because it is a blooming Daily Express column and I really don't want to, right? But, however, Scottish Labour obtained a full breakdown of all transactions between September 2019 and August 2022. The details of leaked credit card spending revealed staff working for Ms. Sturgeon bought 2 coffee machines in 2020 for her office, one costing £115 and another bought 2 months later for £60, according to the Daily Mail. Staff also spent around £700 on coffee in just in a year and almost £50 for a cover for the then First Minister's iPad tablet. I assure you, if you go into the Apple website and you look at what they're charging for just a phone cover, then it puts it into some kind of relation. The government paid out £700 for private dinner, as well as £986 for hospitality at the 2-day Council of Economic Advisors meeting in March 2020. So bloody what? Yeah. So what? At the end of the day, they were talking about a kid's disco deck costing.
See, we spoke about this last week. They're trying to say SNP spent, the civil service spent, and buying coffee machines for a big office like Nicola Sturgeon's, where she's got 14, 15 staff. There's nothing unusual about that.
They're trying to plant the idea into people's heads that it's one wee office that only one person is in with Nicola Sturgeon, and she's going, oh, which coffee maker shall I use this time? No, seriously, guys, if you've got an opportunity to write against these things, write a comment in and just say, "Are you bloody daft?" Yeah. So that's all I want to say on that. The Nicola Sturgeon thing has got to come to an end. It must come to an end.
I mean, I seen you and McCall with an article in one of the rags today, saying that her memoirs, because she's going to publish memoirs, must be honest. I'll tell you one thing: they're shiting themselves, and they're trying to rubbish a reputation before these memoirs hit the papers. You know,
they're not coming out till 2025.
I know, but it shows you how scared they are of what's going to be in them.
Yeah,
They're trying to discredit her any way they can.
Yeah,
David, take that down, will you? Let's see what Dylan's got to say. Thanks for the super chat, Dylan. Don't go spending too much of your money, son. The Daily Dumpster Fire always comes out with some bull crap about Nicola Sturgeon. You're absolutely right, son. There's no argument with that. Absolutely.
Right, let's move on.
Scapegoating over Scotland's entry into the EU.
Yeah.
According to some of these rags, it could take Scotland up to 8 years to get into the EU. Highly possible, after all, there's institutions of state to be built.
So
but we do know that it can be done quicker.
Yeah, what do we do? What do we do in the meantime? We want to be in to either single market or customs union or whatever. What do we do in the meantime? We've just declared independence. What was that?
We join EFTA.
Correct.
We're welcoming EFTA by the EFTA nations.
All the pressure has been off. Do you know that in the lead up to the 2014 referendum, Norway were in talking to the Scottish government, Mr. Salmon et al., right, about joining EFTA if they got independence?
Right. And of course, we've got to remember, Finland, 3 years, Denmark, 2 years, East Germany, 1 month.
Yeah.
The new state of Slovakia, 18 months from start to finish. So, it's all speculation, but it's fear-mongering. Don't leave this union because it's going to take 8 years to get into that union. So fucking what? The amount of damage has been done to us in the last 300 years. 8 years is a walk in the bloody park!
Yeah, I know something. The damage that's been done to Scotland in the last 10 years has been unbelievable. And it's been much more than the damage done to us over the previous 300 years.
Aye. And of course, the first great decade of devolution brought great things.
Yeah.
Thanks to others, that's very generous of you. It really is. Really generous of you. But, the great things that have been achieved under devolution in the last 2 decades are about to disappear as they strip every power out of Parliament, as they warned us they would.
Yeah.
So we've got scaremongering and please don't leave this union because it's going to take 8 years to join another one.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, I have a few mini rants a day, Rosie. But when gross stupidity is in front of me, I've been known to let off steam.
Right, next one. Interest rate wars.
Okay, that's as good, isn't it? The Bank of England's going off its nut.
We now have mortgage vendors that are scared witless about the bottom falling out of their entire marketplace. What they're doing is they're cutting their interest rates on mortgages. Now, what that'll do is it'll create a sudden little upwelling in the market. All of a sudden, you'll see people moving house and things like that because the brokers of the mortgages will be going, get a move on, get changed over before anything happens, right? Little do they people know that all that's going to happen is the Bank of England are just going to keep on stuffing the interest rate up and up and up until the amount of profit that the mortgage vendors are having to give away in order to try and undermine the Bank of England isn't there anymore. And then eventually they'll get shoved up again. So don't try it. What's this?
He's right. The Tory party and the establishment in England are running a Scots air policy on Scotland. They did it in India, they did it in South Africa. Of course they did. They want to see us when we leave be as weak as they possibly can. They did it in Ireland.
Yeah.
You know, wiped out 2 million Irish people with a famine, but it wasn't a famine.
Just remember this: we're just next door.
Anyway, as everybody's pointing out, with the mortgage vendors, no hiking interest rates in line with the Bank of England, inflation is starting to rise again. And of course, oil and gas prices have went up in the last few weeks, and also that's adding inflationary pressures. And as we know, food price inflation is coming down very slowly, but that doesn't mean prices are coming down. It just means they're not going up as fast.
Yeah.
You know. So the Bank of England is really up against a brick wall, a rock and a hard place here. Is the banking institutes that it administers undermines it. It's you couldn't make it up. It's brilliant.
But the whole point about it is that I now believe, really believe, the Bank of England have an agenda. These people have an agenda, and that is that they are looking to destroy the housing market in England, Wales, Scotland, maybe Northern Ireland, although not so important, but England, Wales and Scotland.
Thanks very much, Stephen, and for the kind donation, and vote SNP at next general election. That's quite good advice if you want independence.
Yeah, so the Bank of England, I think, have got a hidden agenda, not so hidden, and I think they're going to just push harder and harder and harder.
Aye.
Until eventually the whole thing falls apart, people lose their houses, then we've got civil unrest, something like that. But
at the same time, the mortgage vendors are doing what they're doing. It would appear that the arse is falling at the housing market anyways. The next 3 months is projected to 3.2% downturn in house prices. Mm-hmm. You know, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors are reporting that house prices are dropping at this point in time. Because let's face it, if mortgages become unattainable, the vendors, of course, are battling with the Bank of England. It is hilarious stuff.
I've got a house I live in that was recently valued at 200,000, and according to what I've read today, I've lost 14,000 off that. If I sell it,
I've seen there's some problems in the US. She saw that the prices were rising and looked into oil futures, and they were also rising. Well, that makes sense. It means the price stays higher in the longer term. So you bought your heating oil early. Wise move, Ginger. Buy it early before the price goes up. And apparently, since you bought the last batch, it's went up 40 cents per gallon. 40 cents a gallon.
No, but
that's a big jump.
But the big one in America, the big one's causing the start, is the fact that now regularly it's costing $100 to fill a small car with fuel. That's the one that kills them. You know, a lot of people in America are petrol heads, and the idea of petrol costing that amount of money is ridiculous to them.
Right, let's move on because time's quickly running out, David. The cuckoos and the nest have gone mental. Where the new funding the new funding scheme for Hollywood, which was announced 2 weeks ago, they're complaining they're not using the increased borrowing to alleviate pressures in the public sector.
But that's no funding.
No, that doesn't come into the big budget.
But it's not funding. If
borrowing.
If your next door neighbour that you paid all your wages to came in and said, well, instead of me giving you more money back, why don't I allow you to go and borrow something else? I'll sign as a guarantor. You can borrow some money to see you through. How's about
to see you through?
Yeah.
Nuts.
So, yet again, simple way, simple answer.
Leave the union.
Correct.
That way, all money's raised in Scotland, stay in Scotland. Anyway, in this new funding thing, there's still a sushi about the 11% of VAT raised in Scotland that's supposed to come back to Scotland. They haven't been able to work out how to do it since it was introduced in 2016. So that money's never actually filtered through. When you get to it, the main thing in the new funding scheme is that the Scottish budget, for as long as we're in the union, will be inflation-proof. The amount that they can borrow for everyday spending has went from 600 million to 1.2 billion. The amount they get to borrow for infrastructure has went from 3 to 6 billion. But we're borrowing our own money and we're paying it back to the Treasury.
Yes.
So the Treasury's giving us our own money and we'll take it back to the Treasury. Probably with an interest rate on it. Mental. Wow.
It's the old saying, isn't it? Ever been had? That's effectively what it is. Ever been had? Yes, you have, if you blooming take up on any of this.
Aye.
I mean, to be honest with you, what's maybe the answer here, right? Scottish Government says, right, fine, tell you what, we're going to borrow off you to the maximum. We're going to max out the amount of money we can get out of the UK Treasury. And then the blooming election comes, plebiscite elections. The SNP have got the majority of seats in the Commons for the Scotland section of the general election. And then they go, you're not getting your money back.
Well, Stephen, that's not a bet that anybody's going to take up. There's going to be a new Devo Max offer before the next election. Of course there is. Hey, right, let's get on to the last subject, because we've got 3 minutes left, but this is an important one. And it would appear Labour in London are facing the same problem that the SNP are facing here in Scotland. And basically that is the London Labour are no putting up with Starmer, parachuting in as yes men. And then of course there's the whole thing with Corbyn doing that. Now if Corbyn and London Labour decide to split the Starmer, then that's going to split the London Labour vote. And if that splits the London Labour vote, the Tories come straight through the middle and take and clean up. And that's going to be a problem here in the Hamilton West by-election, when the Alpha Party stand the candidate, although they're likely to get very little votes, 500 or 600 votes to get, might be enough to swing it to Labour. And it's going to be the same problem with Angus McNeil's seat now. Yeah. You know, and it's going to be the same problem anywhere that Alpha decides to stand a candidate, actually. The 500 or 600 votes that they'll get in each of these, which is what the polling show, and that's all. So with their own people, the 7,000 or 7,500 members are going to vote for them. So what the polling showing is, but depending on what target seats they decide to draw in a candidate, and of course, I'm a Democrat, so they're entitled to do it, but people have to be aware of the dangers of it. Yeah. Where the Alpha Party stand the candidate and maybe take 700 or 800 votes, might be enough to let the Labour Party sneak through the middle. And that Labour Party sneaking through the middle, if they can get to the point where they've got 30 MPs and we've only got 25, the game's a bogey.
Yeah, well and true.
And that's why we say vote SNP at the next election. Now, when we're talking about manifestos with people who don't quite understand politics earlier and things like that, when the manifesto is written after the next conference towards that next election, then we'll see what's in it. And number one in it will be majority MPs and majority vote, we're leaving. That's all that matters, that number one. But when we talk about manifestos, we're not even there printing a manifesto deduct. And as to this daft idea, what about constitutions? This is a 21st century democracy. What will swing Scotland's independence is a manifesto pledge to the First Minister on how it's going to be achieved and international community recognition. That's what's going to take. Yeah. You know, but it's very important that to understand that what Starmer's facing in London with London Labour is what we're facing here in Scotland, the SNP versus Alpha. That very contest could be enough to let the unionists slip through the middle and take the seats that we require to get to fake out this union.
Yeah.
So it's very important that when you think about who you're going to vote about at this next election, ask yourself, is this vote going to crash the idea, is this vote going to put an end to Scotland's dream of independence? Because if we split the independence vote and don't come up with the 30-odd MPs that's required to have the majority in Westminster, then we can blame it squarely on ourselves. I said a few years ago for my truck, I made a broadcast for Bonnybrig, sitting outside the co-op in my truck, and I made it quite clear any cracks in this movement, the unionists will put the levers in. And then we had factions start to appear because of the long period of time where we were inactive. That's what happens to these organisations. Look what happened in Quebec. Look what's happened in Catalonia. History tells us that if you split your vote, then the nearest competitor can swim right through the middle and clean up.
That's right. And it doesn't matter how strong or your campaign is. It doesn't matter how straightforward it sounds. The moment that you've got someone else vying for votes, then it just needs to take a percentage, and then it all falls apart. Guys,
I think I remember the audience with that one for Bonnie Brigg when I spoke about cracks in the meat. At that time it was Solidarity, which is morphed into the Alpha Party. You know, so the same people that are behind it.
Guys, it doesn't matter whether you support the SNP or not. What you're going to have to do is, if you don't support the SNP, you still got to get one of the guys elected. If you want independence, you've got to get SNP MPs elected. It ain't going to happen the other way. It's got to be SNP. It's the only way you've got a chance of it working.
What will be interesting is where the Alpha Party stand their members, that's put stand candidates. If they're standing candidates in areas where Labour's likely to as a strong second to the SNP, then there's a chance that they're going to blow that seat wide open to Labour.
Yeah.
And if people are too stupid to understand that, then we don't deserve to be independent.
That's right.
But we keep hearing people saying the SNP are not going for independence. We've got the Alpha Party saying that they're not coming up with any alternatives except for a coalition of what? The Alpha Party don't matter. What is the ISP or the IPS or whatever it is, Independent Party for Scotland, Independent Scotland Party. You don't have any votes here. You're not polling. And the international community is not watching you.
That's right.
You're going to stand candidates day at Holyrood after this next Westminster election. You know, and I'm a Democrat to my toe. I agree with your right to exist.
Yeah, that's a different matter. If Scotland becomes independent, then what happens is that you will have an upwelling of small independent parties coming forward. But they'll all be Scottish parties. They'll all be Scottish pro-independence because they have to be. Scotland will be independent. Yeah, and we can tell the Labour Party, who we've found are not a party at all, Scottish Labour, they're actually just part of the Labour Party in London. Sorry, you can't possibly speak in the Scottish Parliament because you're an English party. Yeah, and we can basically say the same.
I am going to address this one, Quentin. I'm not talking about me and shouting, and I'm stating political fact. You split the vote, then that lets the Labour Party creep through. That's a fact. It only a fucking idiot when they recognise that to be a fact, right? And it's quite clear through your position today. You really don't grasp politics at all. You really don't. When we asked you about a solution to the independence problem, you're saying there's no being dealt with. You say it's constitution. That's got nothing to do with democracy. We talk about a man with very little grit in reality, Quentin. You're it. I'm not shouting about the Alpha Party at all. I'm shouting about the stupidity of splitting the vote. That's how really slack your grasp on how politics works is. I wasn't talking about any other party as such. I was talking about splitting the vote. It just so happens the ISP and the Alpha Party are the two that are likely to stand. They were likely to split that vote and let the Labour Party and the Unions slide through the middle. But if you're not quite competent enough to understand that, then you might be in the wrong forum. Because here we seriously discuss politics and current affairs. And we look at it through the face of reality and the challenges that face Scotland within this colony that we live in. Whereas you want to talk about laws that were made 300 years ago and shout for banisters, I'm sovereign, I'm sovereign, I'm sovereign. There's no count if you don't put your tick in the box. Wow. Oh, anyway, that let me get my last rant of the day in, David.
We need to finish, David. That's now 3:05.
I know, but I really had to address that because some of the stupidity that was coming through for this man that he was getting for vote. But I know I quite want to debate it with him. And I have asked him to give us his solutions, and they were as stupid as his questions.
Well, the most important thing that's come out of today from the chat is that we need moderators to actually deal with these things well, we can't. Okay, so therefore, we'll,
So New Quinton agrees it's a fact, but he's still saying the SNP's not going for independence, even though Humza Yousaf, the First Minister, has made his position clear. Oh, Quinton, I think I'm going to leave it at that, sir. I really am. Now, David, I want to thank everybody today who's made contributions. You've noticed, folks, in the last 2 shorts that I've done, even if you've made a contribution, I haven't noticed, and I haven't asked you to share it around. I didn't ask you to hit the like button because when I'm playing the Indie Truck David persona, I don't do self-promotion, but it's the Two Davies chat show, and we're raising money for charity, so we do self-promotion here because the more subscribers we get, the more likes we get, the more likely we are to draw in more revenue for YouTube and to keep helping the needy here in Scotland and to supply funds to food banks. So if you are watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and that includes you, Quinton. And if you're watching on Facebook, it is public. If you're going to share it, share away. We're audience figures growing, David, which will be on YouTube. It's a wee bit slower, but on Facebook it's a wee bit faster. We're averaging between 1.6 and 2,000 views on Facebook per. Well, on my timeline anyway, per show, which isn't bad. We're averaging about 150 shares on Facebook. I don't know what the number is for YouTube. And according to Restream, we're viewing figures across both platforms are really quite high. And there's 192 still watching. It was up as high as 202 at one point. So there you go, 192 years have made it all the way through the programme. We'd like to congratulate you. Thank you for your tolerance. Right, that just leaves one thing left to say, David, and that is...
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys.
Bye, Davey. Bye, guys. Oh, and have a nice day, Quinton. Oh! I missed it. Hey, thanks for that contribution.